Everybody, welcome back. Episode 3, Built to Last. Still going, still moving forward. There we
On
go.
strong.
Um, and today is a special topic to both of us, and we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the uglies of a season. Truly, and this could really, it could be the off season, but just in general, I guess. But we'll dive into it right away. Um, Tyler, when I know it's hard, so we'll hit a peak, especially as athletes. You work so hard all week to accomplish what it is that you're trying to do. And then you finally go out there, you get the job done, and you're like, I'm walking on water. Like I feel so elevated. Like there's literally something physical lifting me up. But you have to come right back and do it the next week. And for some sports, it could be the next day. Like if you play baseball or softball or something like that, you're right back on the field 24 hours later, and you got to come back out and do the same thing. So why don't you kind of talk about that and talk about how those highs, how you should, why it's good to celebrate them, but why you should also try to find a happy medium and kind of a balance to where you can continue moving forward and not sort of get slow down and fall into some complacency.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great question. When you think about sports, in general, like when we're talking about football, like we play once a week, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, Fridays, all depends on your schedule. We get a whole week to prepare for the game. So, depending on how you perform, good or bad, you only get a certain amount of time to really focus on that, to really celebrate it, or um, build on for the next week because you have another opportunity to go out and play, another opportunity to go out there and perform. So it's really important to experience whatever you're experiencing, whether that's good emotions, bad emotions, you win, you lose, whatever it is. It's important to celebrate that or, work on that in that time and then quickly refocus to the next week. Because during a season, there's a lot of ups and downs, like we're talking about, like the main focus here is highs and lows. So when you're going through something that's success or you're feeling good, it's important to celebrate that because you might not have too many wins in the season. So celebrating the little wins, making sure that you're emphasizing what you do win is important to keep you going throughout the long season, depending on what sport you're playing. But it's also important to understand that that can be something that allows you to be complacent. You have to continue to stick to your routine, continue to prepare, which will build confidence into the next week. Also, for the lows, it's important to understand that your lows aren't everything. Like you will have lows, you will have highs, but it's important to be able to balance that and be able to bounce back from a low, and be able to battle adversity throughout the whole season.
100%. And I think it goes far beyond an emotional thing. I think it's obviously physical. Like when you're feeling good, it could be harder to go in and get your recovery done. Or even after a bad loss, you're like, I don't want to be around the facility right now. I'm not going to go take care of myself. I'm not going to watch film because like it all feels like it's for nothing. Like it's hard. It's hard to continue moving on when things feel like that. But we also have to remember that you didn't go through 11 months of training for one win anyway.
Mhm.
You didn't go through 11 months of training to go make 7 tackles in just one game anyway, or whatever it is, go throw 6 innings. Um, but I think it's also really important to feel your emotions and the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. Like, kind of recognize what's going on. When you're feeling good, appreciate that and kind of soak in the moment. Take in that. Don't take that for granted just because you have to come back and do it again tomorrow or the next week. That doesn't, what we're saying, there's no problem with feeling what's going on. It only becomes an issue if you let it linger for too long. Like there's a lot of people will consider, like, especially in football, there's a 24-hour window. So we're gonna go through the game. We're gonna feel it for 24 hours, kind of take in what just happened, and then we're gonna move on. But I think that also has something to say about the bad as well. Like when you're feeling bad, embrace that. Embrace that for one, you don't want to feel like that again. Like I don't want to go back through that. And for two, it's okay to have a bad game. And I can understand that, okay, I'm upset because I worked so hard to accomplish something and it didn't go the way I wanted it to. That's perfectly normal. That's if you didn't feel that way, I would probably be a little bit scared of you and kind of be like, you just worked like a zombie for months and now like you're at your lowest low and you're just not even gonna feel anything. Like,
Yeah. Like I think it's important to understand that losing is it's not a bad thing. It's not the end of the world. A lot of athletes lose, even at the highest level. Like it's hard to win. Winning is very hard in sports in general. Um, but you have to view losing as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to get better, an opportunity to take whatever it was in your preparation and change and alter that so that when you do get another opportunity to go out there and play or whatever it is, compete, um, you capitalize on those mistakes or misses that you had the previous week.
100%. And I think that has, you could say that about like a lot of guys. Like Jordan got bounced 6 times in the first round before he won a ring or something like that. When the Curry got to the Warriors, they stunk.
Mhm.
Tom Brady was viewed as he was a mistake pick. They didn't even mean to take him. Went on to be the best to ever do it. So I think you can go on to say that about a ton of guys. Like it's literally athletes are only human. We see them on TV and we all aspire to be like them. And but at the end of the day, they bleed just like us. They're just people. They have feelings. They've been through the highs and the lows. So let's not act like they just walk on water. I mean, they're very good, very special. There's a reason they get paid the money they do. But at the end of the day, they're just like us.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're gonna move on just a little bit. Kind of talk about why it's so important not to get stuck in that high. Like understanding that you're gonna climb that mountain, but every mountain has another side of it. Like I've never seen a mountain that just continues to go up for forever.
Mhm.
Like some mountains are really high.
Yeah.
Eventually it's gonna come down.
Yes, that's a really good way to view it. We talked about this a little bit before, like a mountain. Like when you view a mountain, it goes up, so it takes a while for you to progress to get up there. You work really hard. You can view it like during, say, you're viewing it as if it's the off season. You're working really hard throughout the off season. You get an opportunity to go out and perform, play, and then now you're at the very top of the mountain, and you succeeded. You've accomplished your goal. You've won a game. You won a couple of games. Maybe you won a championship. But you have to understand that a mountain comes back down. It's not just a mountain that goes up. You might stay up high for a little bit, but eventually it goes back down. So understanding that and understanding that, okay, this is a roller coaster of a sport. This is a roller coaster of an experience. I'm never going to be able to stay high the whole time throughout my experience. I have to understand that there's going to be some battles. There's going to be some negative things that come with it, negative experiences, whether that be injuries, setbacks, you might get cut from a team, whatever it is. You have to be able to understand that the mountain does go back down. Um, and on the other side, it goes back up too. So
So
you can never let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. So it's really important that you stay balanced throughout your whole experience.
100%. I was just gonna touch on that too. It's not when we say like it's not a singular mountain, it's a mountain range. So you got a bunch of them. They're here, they're here, they're here. So it's all over the place. You're gonna go up super high. You might come down just a little bit and then you'll shoot right back up. But at the end of the day, it's gonna keep going up and down if you continue to work hard. I mean, I can't say that you can just show up when you feel like it and punch the clock and you're still gonna get to experience those highs or experience the same lows. But if you're truly working hard, you're giving what you can to what it is that you are saying you love to do, then you will get to experience those highs, but you'll also have to embrace those lows. And it happened like everybody's the same way. That I think life is like that. I mean, obviously we're kind of sports centered, but like in life in general, in a class, like you might bomb a test, but you can still kill it on the homework. And then
Right.
that next test comes up and you pass it, and all of a sudden you're back up to an A minus or a B plus or whatever, something like that. So I think it's just important in general to be able to sort of stay as level as possible along those mountains because if you're level on that mountain and you get to go high, you'll still get to feel the high, but you might not just be going so fast that you go over the peak and you end up coming down super hard.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Tyler, if you have an example maybe of where maybe you let it get too high, like you played a really good game, you were feeling yourself a little too much, and you kind of let it roll into the next week just because you were stuck in stuck in the high for a little too long. I'm not saying it's happened. Maybe it hasn't happened. It's happened
Um,
to me, but
for sure. Yeah, I think I can go back to my Trinity experience.
okay.
Freshman year, I came in. We had a lot of vets on the team, so I was working really hard.
Hold on, Tyler. Hold on, Tyler.
Okay.
All right. We'll play it again. I'll chop it up or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll talk about my experience at Trinity.
Mm.
So my freshman year, I came in, there were a lot of vets. And at Trinity, we had a lot of winning seasons, good traditions, a lot of championships. And I wanted to play on a team that, that was what they were geared to. And so I
Mm.
was working really hard, I was working my way up to the top. And then towards the last 3 games of the season, I was able to start and we ended up winning the championship and played really well. And, I was getting a lot of praise from alumni, coaches. And I think at that end of the season, I was feeling really high. I was feeling like, okay, next year,
Yeah.
it's really my year. And I played well my sophomore year throughout the years, or throughout the first 4 or 5 weeks. And I think we played Middlebury. I don't know. I think it might have been the fifth week.
Okay.
Middlebury is another good team in our conference.
Mhm.
Home game. We were both undefeated at the time, maybe 5 or 6-0. And I don't know if I was completely focused that week. I knew that they're a really good team. I think my preparation lacked a little bit,
Okay.
but I would definitely say that's an experience where I was feeling high at the moment. We were like 5-0. Like we're going undefeated. We're running back to back. And we ended up losing that game. So like that was like a wow, like a shocking moment. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm at a low point now. Like what can I do now to refocus, go back to like, the training blocks. What can I do to restart? What didn't I do to prepare? And how can I prepare better for the next week? So that was just a learning experience for me. I think I navigated it pretty well because we ended up winning the rest of the games
Okay.
after that loss. So, it was good to go back to back and win 2 championships. But that was definitely an experience where I was feeling high at one point and hit a low point.
Okay. A little flex. That's Trinity. I mean, for people that don't know, that's like a historically successful program, correct?
Mm. Yes.
That's tradition is winning. And so I mean, I hate to do it where like I know I keep doing it where I kind of focus on football a little too much, but
Yeah.
for people
That's
that
our
know,
experience. I mean, that's
yeah,
the sport we know. So
100%. And like I said, I don't even play football anymore, so I'm not trying to like toot their horn or anything like that. But when you go to a school where tradition is winning in any sport typically, but especially in football, just because of the way revenue works and things like that, you're gonna have expectations are just it's different. Um, and then the same way you can get praise from alumni, you're gonna get pressure. Like they're gonna push on you,
Mhm.
just because, especially from the alumni, they've been there. If they were successful and they're there, that's why the alumni are gonna continue to come back. But it's also because they want to see you grow. It's not. I think that's part of the good, of the bad, and the ugly. Like you can take it either as good, bad, or ugly. Like you
Mhm.
can be mad that they're sitting there putting expectations on you, they're putting pressure on you, or you could be happy that there's somebody that wants you to be great. And I think, like me personally, because the high school I went to, we were traditionally a successful program. Not not anything off the charts, like because we're a small school, we competed against schools with 2,500 people, and there was 750 at our school. Um, So, but the expectation was there always year in and year out for us to be great. And I had transferred in from a smaller school, and I could have taken it as, oh, like I've never played against people this good. Like I'm just gonna shut down and kind of be content with being on the team, or I could have done what I could to elevate my game and kind of want to honor the people that had played in the uniform before me. And
Mhm.
I took it as that, and we ended up having a successful year. We went 10-3 or something like that. And one of the losses I'm playing, I had gotten a concussion, but um, like I think a lot of good, bad, and ugly is perspective too, because you can go out and play a game where you struggle, like you didn't play your best game, but especially I think defensively you can do this a little better probably. Like maybe you missed a tackle or two, but like you were always around the ball, you were where you needed to be, and your
Mhm.
team came out with a win. So I think a lot of that can be perspective. You could be like, oh, I'm mad. I only had three tackles and when I should have had seven.
Right.
Or you could be like, well, I made them hit the other hole. I made them cut back to the bang gap, and we ended up winning by two scores. So I can take it as a high, I can take it as a low, but a lot of it is like within yourself. And I think we have to be better about being good to ourselves, honestly. I think especially as athletes, we have we put this immense amount of pressure on ourselves and it makes everything feel like it falls in that bad and ugly category unless like you were dang near up for player of the week and you guys won.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with holding yourself to a higher standard. But I do think you have to there has to be some like sort of wiggle room. There has to be like there's also there's a reason that guys play college football before they play pro or they play high school before they play college. Like maybe you're just not there yet, but you're getting there. Like you're growing as an athlete. Everybody, it's like I was talking about the pro athletes earlier. They bleed just like we bleed. We're all just people, and it's normal for people to need time to kind of come into themselves, grow into their own skin, and wear the shoes that are meant to be filled.
Right.
So
And to bounce off that, I kind of have a question for you, another question for you.
yeah,
Um, I would say like on all different levels, quarterbacks in general receive a lot of pressure, whether it's a win, a loss, they get praised really well when the team wins, or they get beat up and criticized when the team loses.
100%.
I think that follows along with the highs and lows. So, because I know you played quarterback throughout your football experience or football career, sorry. So I want you to talk a little bit more about what that was like playing as a quarterback, knowing that if you win, you're going to get praised, but if you lose, you're going to be the one who gets criticized. You're going to be the one that everyone looks at and is like, "Yo, what happened?" Like you're supposed to, and I know that's how it is, just because like I've been around the sport a lot, and I've seen how there's a lot of critics, a lot of outside noises, just having a lot of impact on quarterbacks in general. So
100%. I'm really glad you asked that actually. And it's obviously it's hard, but like one thing we like to say in our household is pressure is a privilege. I know that's like it's a well-known thing, but in our household
yeah.
especially, like we say that a lot. Pressure is a privilege, and so I embrace that. But it's hard preparing for a game and being like, dude, I could go out and throw four, five, six touchdowns, but if we lose, it's like people are still gonna look at me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I'd like to give an example, maybe. My senior year, or my last game of high school, we put up 48 points on a team that had only given up 56 points all year.
Wow.
We lost 51-48. Yeah. And people were like, I just felt like eyes on me. And I had people in my DMs after the game, like talking crazy, people that weren't even on the football team from that other school. And it's like I get back to the locker room, I open up my phone and I see it, and it's like it almost felt like it was like I was in like a TV show or something like that.
Mhm.
But I would say like being able to handle those highs and lows, a lot of it has to do with the way I was raised and kind of where I was at, where I've gotten to mentally and the things I've been through. Probably off the field. I think I it's so easy to get caught up in like kind of feeling like your entire life is between the lines. And then you kind of have to take a step back and be like, well, this is nothing compared to like whatever happened or
Hmm.
This is everything. You know what I mean? And that kind of goes back to the perspective I was talking about with the good, bad, and ugly. But like I said, having that 24-hour window of feeling that, like when we did lose, regardless of how good I played, I felt like it was my fault. Even that game that was 51-48, I know I could have done more. I know I could have played better. And I think a lot of that just has to do with being able to look in the mirror and being comfortable with who that is. Um, like I, no matter, like I said, I mean, I could have played my best game if we lost. I was gonna feel it. Like I was gonna feel bad. I was gonna feel like I should have done more. And there was games where I would get picked up by my defense. I remember, going back to my senior year again, there was a game I threw two picks. I hate saying it, but I threw two picks, and we came out with a win, and it was like I was excited. I was happy. I I don't know if happy is the word I'd use. I was content with the results. Like I knew that I couldn't go back and change it.
Hmm.
Um, I was happy that my guys played the way they did. They were able to pick me up, and I knew I wasn't like I know we say the quarterbacks will get the praise for all the wins or all the fall for the losses. I'm not sure how much praise I got for that win, but like I do agree with what you said. I do think, especially at the quarterback position, and you could look at it in other sports probably as well, like maybe the point guard, maybe the pitcher, stuff like that. Like when you get there's just certain people on certain teams where you have eyes traditionally will just fall on you naturally. Like it's just the way it is. And chances are you knew that when you started playing the position, so you can't complain about it being too much
Right.
when things are low, and then when things are high, you're soaking up the limelight. Like it's just not fair to everybody else. And I think that's been a big piece of helping me get through it too, is kind of understanding that like this I did sign up for this. Maybe when I was 6 when I picked up the football, I like maybe I was just good at throwing, but at the same time I played for I don't even know how long that is, 13, 14 years. And it's like I if I wanted to switch positions, I probably could have at some point,
Mhm.
but I was comfortable with what came with the position. And it's not necessarily that I'm a guy that like, oh, I want everybody looking at me, but I feel that I perform best in situations of pressure. And I think that playing quarterback is a constant state of pressure. Um, and people can agree or disagree with that, but that's my stance on it. The ball touches my hands every play, and there's guys coming to hit me every play. I would say that's a little bit of pressure.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I guess to kind of summarize it, it would be kind of just knowing what is coming with it and having a perspective and being grateful that you're in the position in the first place.
Mhm.
So no matter how high or how low it gets, I'm grateful I had the opportunity to go out and play that day. I'll have 24 hours to think about it after, and I'm going to move on.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest part of being able to just deal with highs and lows in general. I think you can take that like at your position even, and you feel that from. I mean, I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know if yours is a 24-hour thing. That's just what I always liked. And you could touch on that too. But some people they just like taking the rest of the day or maybe the rest of the weekend. Um, but go ahead and touch on it.
Yeah, I think the way I handle it is, you control the things you can control in that moment, and then after that, you let it go. Because I feel like early on in my career, I was one to harp on the losses, and I would let it affect me.
Mhm.
And I think that I would have let it affect me to the point where it would affect the next time I would go out and compete.
Yeah.
I would think about like constantly, like, oh, like I did this last time, da, da, da. And I think there's some good to that, but there's also a lot of bad. But I think I rewired the way I've thought about it, and been able to take what I've didn't like from the losses and change the way I prepare for the next week. Um, but yeah, just not harping on them too much. Um, but yeah, I just think, it's I don't even know how to explain it really. Like there's um there's good and bad. So you can't allow it to affect you too much. And I think I was I've done a lot better since earlier on in my
Hmm.
career. I know that it's not something that you can allow to consume your performance for the following week. You just have to just let it come and go. Like view it as like a open door, closing door, like a revolving door kind of thing.
Okay.
I think someone said that in, I don't know if it was this past winter or the last winter. But someone came in, like alumni came into Sacred Heart, and he was talking about your performance and talking about like bad performances and good performances, but you have to view it as a closing or revolving door. So when you have a good performance, you let it come through the door and then you let it go out the other way. You don't just stand there and block it, you just let it go in and out. And I think I use that for both positive experiences, like good performances, highs, and also bad performances, lows too. I don't let it linger around for too long.
I really like that revolving door.
Yeah.
So yours isn't necessarily like mine's more of like a time span thing. Yours is kind of like I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna feel it for however long,
Mhm.
and then I'm gonna move on. But yours is relatively quick. Like you like that fast turnover,
Yeah.
and I think that's cool. I think that is like honestly, I wish mine was a little bit more like that. I wish I didn't have to feel it for 24 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, everybody has different ways of dealing with it, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Like some people will take up to because typically in football we'll go in and watch the film Sunday
Mhm.
and then we'll get Monday off. Uh, I mean, you go and watch film, lift, but you get
Yeah.
Monday off,
Yeah.
and so a lot of people might take it up until Tuesday to feel what's going on, and that's perfectly fine too. I think everybody just has different ways of dealing with it, and you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
That's just what works for me and Tyler, and
There's another saying too that I just thought of as well. Specifically, I feel like I don't know if it's, I guess you could say the defensive side of the ball, but I think it also works for the offensive side or whatever sport it is. Having a short-term memory.
yeah,
And when I say short-term memory, I more so mean, okay, there's many plays in a game, there's many downs in a drive, there's many opportunities to make a play. So when you don't make the play or you don't do what you're supposed to do, you miss an assignment, you have to have a short-term memory. You can't allow that memory to linger. You can't allow your negative or bad performance to then linger on and go on to the next play because there's another opportunity in that moment to make a play and to capitalize on your previous mistake. So that's something that stuck with me for a while. And I've not only used that in the sports world, but just in my personal life and um, like career wise too. Just like short term memory. Okay. Like I'm not going to let it linger too much?
yeah, that's awesome. I think you can take like I said, you can take that and run with that in anything, but especially like in the quarterback world, I'm glad you said that. If I go and even like drop a snap, I'm gonna be thinking about that the next play, but I
Right.
can't. I got to turn that off because it's like they talk about when you're just learning to drive. Like if you're just staring at a car, worried you're gonna hit it, you're gonna hit the car.
Yeah, with the car.
It's gonna happen.
Right.
So if I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about, oh, I can't drop the snap again, or oh, I can't miss that read again,
Mhm.
um, chances are that's exactly what's gonna happen. And so just kind of clearing that out, get the play and move forward, kind of have an idea of what it is I need to accomplish. But the next thing I wanted to dive into is how you handle like opinions, I guess, or expectations when they're you could touch on the high and the low of it. So sort of like if you hear somebody maybe saying something negative about your team
Mhm.
or saying something super good about your team, like setting a bar super high, maybe even that you think might not be obtainable. Like
Mhm.
how you deal with that both mentally and maybe like if you're talking to somebody about it or somebody else is there, how you'd handle that.
Yeah. Um, I think that's a really good question. Everyone has their opinions. Everyone has their say, even if they know a lot about the sport or if they don't know anything
Okay.
about the sport. So, I think that's just something that comes with it. It's just like a
Mhm.
talking point. I remember back at Trinity, like when we lost that one game I was talking about, like I was walking down the hall or walking in campus, and everyone was like, "Oh, how'd you lose the game? Like you can't lose. Like you guys never lose." Like I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I just kind of just brush it off. You can't put too much energy in that. There's another saying that I have is like protect your peace, protect your energy. You don't feed into that. So I kind of just was like, yeah, yeah, just played it off. And um, I also think like you just can't let the opinions of others affect you. Everyone's gonna have their opinion. It's just how you view it and how you interpret it. You can listen to it, you can value it, you can hear them out, but it doesn't have to be something that you internalize and it mess you up. Some people view negative opinions as motivation. And I think I've done that a couple times, but I think for the majority of my experience, it's been like, okay, that's your opinion, whatever your opinion is, that's
Yeah.
okay. Um, um, but yeah, I think also when we're talking about seasons and we're talking about how long a season can be, we're talking about how it can be, how there can be highs and lows. There's going to be periods where you're in the middle. It's not always highs, not always lows.
Uh,
So um, being able to celebrate your wins when you do have a win, like whatever it is, even a small win, like you wake up in the morning, you're going to lift, you make it on lift on time, you hit a PR in the weight room, you beat a time,
yeah.
like whatever it is, you have to celebrate those wins. And when there's sometimes where people are like, yo, why are you so excited about this? Like, this is not anything. Like,
Yeah.
don't let those opinions ruin you celebrating a win because you celebrating a win is only building you confidence and it's only allowing you to continue going, continue being motivated. So I think when we're talking about the opinions of others, there's sometimes where people will view your win, your individual win, as something that might not be that important to them, but in reality, it is really important to you. So don't let that be something that minimizes your view and opinion on your win.
100%. I think that is the best little segment we've had on our podcast so far. That's getting clipped for sure. That
Yeah,
that's dope. That was
appreciate
perfect. I
it.
couldn't have said that better myself. And I think like my small wins especially were in that second, like during season when I was killing it in the classroom because I was the semester before I struggled. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled bad. Like that was the worst semester of school I've ever had. And then I rolled into the next one and I ended up finishing with like a 3.98 or something like that. And it was like, bro, I'm killing it. Like I'm doing the thing. I started studying again and stuff, and it was um a lot of it had to do with um sort of just I guess being grateful for the situation I was in, especially like being a Hispanic family. I know a lot of my family that came before me didn't have the same opportunities that I do. Um and I realized I was taking so much for granted. And I think uh once you realize that once I was able to realize how good I had it, how blessed I really was, it made me not want to take advantage of any, or it made me want to take advantage of everything that I was given. Like I was so blessed. Like I wasn't paying a dime. I was doing what I loved, and I was taking really good classes. I was working toward a really good degree, and I wasn't just there to play football. Like it was so much more than that. And so I think once I started celebrating the little wins in the classroom, it sort of translated to the weight room and onto the field just because I hadn't, I don't know, I think it's like a new level of enlightenment, maybe. You kind of have like this new glow about you just because when you feel blessed, like you feel like really grateful for everything that's going on, it is so hard for like little things to like tear you down the way they do when you have a dark cloud following you, like when you have a lot of weight on your shoulders. And I think I keep going back to it, but I think a lot of that is perspective. Like once my perspective changed, everything became so much easier for me
Mhm.
and it made the goods really good. It made the bads a lot less bad. And it made that level spot that you were talking about, that like that level spot felt like it was like I was really good with being there. I was happy to be there rather than like, oh, why am I not feeling like why is it not all sunshines and rainbows right now?
Mhm.
And I think that is like I couldn't have said that better myself. I'm so glad you said that, honestly. That was perfect.
Yeah, I love what you said about your experience too. I think that's a testimony to your perseverance and your ability to, being able to um transform from the low to high and be able to switch and go back and forth in terms of your grades and where you were at. But also when you're talking about being blessed and realizing how blessed you are in your situation and understanding that you are in an experience or a situation where some of your family might not have had that opportunity. And I don't know if this is I know because we have a relationship, but I want you to touch a little bit more about that in terms of how also your faith um contributed to you understanding how blessed you are. Because I know, we've been to church together, we've talked about this and talked about how when you're feeling something that's, low and you're at a bad point, you look to your faith and that helps you get out that down spot. So I want you to talk about that. I know we talked about not saying too much about,
Yeah.
our faith and stuff, but I know that's
Yeah,
definitely played a big part in your transformation and allowing you to get out of that dark spot. So
100%. So, like you said, we did say we didn't want to talk too much about our faith just because we want it to be friendly to everybody, and we wouldn't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but we're also not going to hide who we are. It's part of our identity, like you said. We've been to church together. We're both um, Christian student athletes. And so, yeah, I do think I got baptized after, like, literally right after my sophomore season of college.
Mhm.
And since then, it has like moved mountains in my life. Um, I think faith is a big reason why I was able to get where I'm at mentally today. It took me a long time to kind of be at peace with a lot of the stuff that was going on with me. And once I was able to be appreciative of everything, because when when I understood what God was doing in my life, understanding that everything is intentional and he didn't make any mistakes, and I have to look back and kind of be appreciative of everything I've been through, whether it was part of that good, bad, or ugly, because like that was the plan that our God had for me. And so I'm able to look back and be grateful for it instead of kind of being upset about it, sulking on it. And when I put my faith into that and my trust that he was going to put me where I needed to be, it took so much off my shoulders just because I mean it'd be like that with anything. If you felt like you had to do everything by yourself, like it all relied on how you perform that day, like what was going to happen. Like it's stressful. It's a lot to handle, especially as a young kid who is halfway across the world. And so I'm grateful that I was able to find peace with that. I was able to understand that all of this has already been written, and I'm just living it out the way as close to the way as he intended me to do so.
Mhm.
Um, but to kind of focus on it a little more centrically, I would say that like you asked about sort of how I'm taking advantage of situations that maybe previous family members didn't have. Um, and I'm eternally grateful. Got I don't I mean I'm saying this as humbly as possible, but God has truly blessed me um with the talents that he gave me. Um I I've been able to transition into baseball, and I've been super blessed. Like I've talked to some schools already and it's going great. And so I'm hoping to have another experience to play another sport that I love at a really high level. Because I know a lot of people, I used to tell my brother, because one of our best friends in high school loved baseball, but he just wasn't very good. And to be frank, he just didn't have very many athletic bones in his body. And I was always like, man, I wish he had my arm just because like if somebody that loved it as much as he did had as much God-given talent as I was given, he could have, I mean, he'd be playing at such a high level. And I think that's part of why I don't take it for granted, just because like you see people who want to be great so bad, but they're not given the correct tool set. Like that's just not what God intended for them to do, right?
Right.
And so I think a lot of it for me is kind of understanding there's a reason that I'm so blessed with the talent that I was given. And so now it's just my job to carry it out and kind of carry myself in a way that he intended along the way. And like we talk about it a lot as athletes, is sort of glorifying God in those both high and low moments. You always see the clips of guys after they win the Super Bowl or a fight or a World Series or whatever, and they'll be like, first off, I just want to thank God. But I think the special ones are you'll see a guy lose. I think it was Riley Leonard after Notre Dame lost,
Mhm.
and the first thing he did was thank God just for putting him in that opportunity.
Right.
And I think that's really special and something to remember because as we're focusing on the good, bad, and ugly, um, and it's generally like this in faith as well. When you're at those highs, I was talking about this the other day in Bible study. When I hit those highs, I'm generally not thinking about like going to pray. Um, I'm really not thinking about God in general.
Mhm.
Um, but when you hit those lows in your life, that is like you'll spend more time praying than you ever have. Um, and I think kind of being able to find that happy medium of being able to rely on a consistency all the time. But especially when things go wrong, like when I got banged up against Howard, like I was really mad about it. I was really upset about it. It was like really my first time getting a go, and I was sliding and I got hit, and it was like, God, why does this continue to happen to me? Like I was literally sliding. I was going down on my own.
I remember watching that on a live stream,
hmm And
and I
it's
was in trouble. Yeah.
yeah. So it's frustrating and like especially being a Christian as somebody being anybody that's faithful, when things go wrong, you might be like, why God? Like, why are you doing this to me? Um, but I was able to take a step back and kind of think of like the more I thought about it, I saw a pattern and I was like, well, maybe this just isn't for me.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I made the most of what I could while I had the opportunities,
Mhm.
and that's all I could do. And now it's kind of like that revolving door, but I want to just switch it just a little bit. Anytime, I think just life in general is like this. Anytime a door closes, like one opens at the same time. And so, like, even though that door slammed shut abruptly, like I didn't think it was going to close as soon as it did.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's another door that opened up, and it's up to you to continue moving forward, though. If you want to stand behind that closed door, go ahead, be my guest. But it's just that's not it's going to be hard to be happy standing behind a closed door in a room where you already know the results in, instead of moving forward and seeing what you can do in like your next chapter. So I think that's typically how I've let my faith kind of I guess serve as a buoy through those ups and downs, and because it is the thing that has continued to keep me afloat regardless of what it is I'm going through.
Right.
I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I want you to touch on your faith and how, especially, I'm going to condense yours a little bit. I want you to talk about how your faith has kind of helped you work through your shoulder, just because, like, I know I have an idea of how hard that could be,
Mhm.
and I know it's been a lingering problem. Like it's been close to a year now since it first started, right?
Right. Yeah. August.
Yeah. So we're climbing on a year, and are you cleared yet?
I'll be clear like fully in a month or so.
Okay. So it's gonna be right around like almost a year.
Yeah.
So kind of talk about how you've been able to hit, because I mean, I I don't want to tell you how you're feeling, but unfortunately, that's an ugly like that
100%.
that's a bad that's a
100% is
bad and
an
an
ugly.
ugly.
That's a low. It's like
100%.
three. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was most frustrating part of it was the fact that I transferred in January. I did the whole winter workouts. Um, the 6 a.m. like mat drills. I did the spring ball. I came in the summer, spent the whole summer at school, worked my tail off. Um, was finally gonna get an opportunity to play, was competing in preseason. I was playing fine. It was like I think the like last week of preseason, like I think a week before the first game. And I was actually I had a AC joint on my right shoulder that I was coming back from. Not like I just took like 2 days off because it was just really tender to the touch.
Yeah.
So I had a black jersey on, so I wasn't even really practicing. But I took a one-on-one rep and dislocated my other shoulder. So I'm like, okay. And at first, I didn't really realize it was a dislocation until I took my shoulder pads off, and shoulder was like up like this. So that was an experience in itself. But um, it definitely was very frustrating. But I think throughout the process, I kept on asking God. I was like, why me? Why do I have to be the one who has to make the decision whether or not I want to get this surgery or not, or play through it? Why is it me? And I think in praying and having such a strong relationship in my faith and in God, I was able to understand that, you can never question what you're going through. You can never really question his plan for you because at the end of the day, you have to know and understand that he is in control of it. He knows what's best for you. And um, I think that there's a saying is like God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that I kept on going back to and understanding that okay, this is just another piece of adversity that I have to get over and something else to make me stronger. Another story that I can tell later on down the road, and um, is it was definitely tough, and I think my faith is has gotten stronger through that process and understanding that this is only something that's going to make me stronger, only something that's going to help me and better me. Because in a time where I did feel like everything was going right, there's one thing that went wrong, and I think that'll follow me down later on down the road. So it's just something that just made me stronger. Um, and I continue to pray. I continue to thank God for just allowing me to even continue playing the sport. Because some people have an injury and they're done. They can't. Like it's so I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to continue working through the process. And now my shoulder's feeling a lot better. I'm thanking God for that and thanking Him for the process and reminding me to take it slow because I can't rush it or else it'll happen again. So, yeah, my faith has definitely been a big piece and something that I've been able to fall back on when my mind is like it's going wrong. So,
100%. And one thing I like to go back to is like, why would I question my story when it was written by a perfect author?
mm, I like
So like I feel like again, like I don't want to dive too far into faith, but the way
that.
if you look at like people and Earth and the planets and stuff like that, if the moon was, I don't know, like however many miles closer, we wouldn't be here. If your body temperature was 10 degrees one way or the other, you wouldn't be here.
Hmm.
There's so many things where it's like this is literally set up dang near perfectly. Like you couldn't have done it any different. But there's a reason it's so like everything is so perfect. He didn't make any mistakes when he made Earth, when he made people.
I know.
Um, but I don't like we'll stop the faith conversation there. Those of you that didn't want to hear it, you can replay from here. We're done. But and I really like the part you said about all the tribulations you're going through. They're just more stories to tell. Uh and I mean they could be you can look at it as a good story or a bad story, but they're stories and they make They make your experience your experience. They make you you. Like
Hmm.
your story. You can't look back and be like, I'm so like if this wouldn't have happened, if that wouldn't have happened, it happened.
Hmm.
And that is part of your story now. You can't go back and change it. It's like pouring concrete. Once it dries, it's dry.
There's no going back.
Yeah. So like when you missed those games, when you knew you had to redshirt, when you got that surgery, it was that's just what had to happen. That
Mhm.
the concrete dried. Now it's dry and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that we were able to touch on that. We'll keep moving forward. And
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to ask you about um, there's a really good quote where it goes somewhere along the lines of like it's either I win or I learn. And I don't know if it was in a song or like what it was, but I know
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if it was in a song either, but I definitely heard of that.
yeah.
And
So it's I win or I learn. And
Mhm.
so I mean, I don't know. Some people might think it's kind of corny, but I like it. I think it's
I
good.
like it. I do too. It's like it's a simple way to mitigate the losses, like
Yeah.
mitigate the effects of a loss because you sometimes like a lot of people can get wrapped up in the loss and they can really like spiral. They can really spiral from it. But re, if you like reorient or change the way you view something or change the way you view like a loss and view it as a learning lesson or view it as an opportunity to get better, then whenever you lose, you're not going to feel that anymore. It's like, okay, like, I lost this, but it's not really a loss. It's just I just missed this play. So how can I prepare next week so I don't miss that play? Or um, how can I learn more from watching film? Like, what can I do in my loss that I had and turn into something else that's a learning lesson and a positive for later on.
Yeah. Um, and I didn't want to misquote it. It was by Nelson Mandela. It wasn't a song.
Okay.
I mean,
No, no, no.
yeah,
There's a lot of quotes that are similar and sound.
100%. But yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things that I kind of picked up as I've matured.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm sure for all athletes at one point in their young careers, you felt like a loss was the end of the world and that there was no coming back from it. Um, whether that was a personal loss on the field or a team loss, it can be detrimental. It can be hard to work through.
Mhm.
But and I know I referred to some of these guys earlier, but these greats, they've all experienced losses. Like Tom, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali, everybody, these people that are, I mean, the best in their respective sports, they lose. And
Mhm.
that's fine. That doesn't make them less great. That doesn't, there's no tarnish about that. I mean, if you play enough times, you're going to lose, and that, like, it's okay. But what's not okay is letting one loss turn into, like you said, a spiral, turn into that. Instead of walking down that mountain slope after I was walking up, all of a sudden I slipped and now I'm sliding.
Mhm.
And that mountain slope ends up being a lot longer if you slip than if you're able to walk down it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think kind of being able to maintain those highs and lows is going to be what truly determines the your next outcome.
Mhm.
Because if you're able to shake back, you prepare the way you should have, you're gonna be more likely to get a win than if you're sulking or on the flip side, if you're stuck on the high, like, oh, I played so great last week, there's no way it doesn't happen again this week.
Yeah.
That's simply just not true. It's,
Mhm.
I mean, I wish it was, but it's not. We have to treat every individual experience as just as that. It's an individual experience, and now we move forward.
I
Um,
like that.
yeah.
100%. Like that.
So I know there was a quote you wanted to touch on. If you want to give us that and then kind of just break it down a little bit, maybe? Like talk
Yeah.
about what it means to you and why. Just talk about why that stuck out to you because I
Mhm.
really liked it. But go ahead.
Yeah. So the quote that I have here is perhaps without the lows, the highs could not be reached. And I'm not sure the actual name of it. I don't, let me see if I can, yeah, I can't remember the exact name.
I'll look while you go ahead and break it down.
Okay, yeah. So I picked that quote and it stuck out to me because it just honestly, the conversation that we just had about you viewing the lows as a learning lesson. Um, because like without all of your adversity, without all of your losses or struggles, you could not have achieved your highs. You know, you could not have gotten to that top point because you didn't have anything to base anything off of. So, you know, it just shows how important those lows are, and it shows that your reaction or your response to a low can change and contribute to what your success is or what your high is. So that really stuck out to me. And I think, you know, for anyone who can't figure out how to bounce off of their low and get up to that high point, you know, that's a good quote to look at. That's a good quote to maybe write on your fridge or write on, you know, have it on your phone or wherever it is. And when you're feeling stuck, you know, it's just like view those lows in a positive light and understand that that's something that's going to contribute to your high.
100%. And that quote was it's from Stephanie Meyer. I don't know if it was a podcast or a book. She's uh like renowned author. She wrote the whole Twilight series and
Okay.
stuff. So I really do like that quote. And if you hear, I'm going to keep referring back to them, but especially I think Michael Jordan and Tom Brady are two really good people to look at when they talk about how losses can fuel greatness, really. Those guys. And I think Kobe's probably one of the best ones. I think Kobe's mindset is it's one of one. There's a reason they call it the Mamba mentality, but his rookie year, I'm a huge Kobe fan, so I mean I'll talk a little bit about it. His rookie year, they were playing in Utah in that playoff series, and he took a game winner. He attempted a game winner, airballed it his rookie year, and they're going home now. He's
Mhm.
playing. Uh, I mean, there's promise there. He's an 18-year-old kid. He would talk about how his rookie year, he was struggling mentally. Things were hard, and he would literally walk through downtown LA, go by UCLA's campus, USC's campus, and be like, how different would my life be if I just went to college? Like, would I be happier? All this stuff. But I mean, most of us know the rest of the way Kobe's story goes. He ends up winning 5 rings. In my opinion, top three player ever. Some people would argue that, but in my opinion, he's a top three player ever. Definitely the best Laker ever.
I like that take.
Yeah. But and I think a lot of Kobe wasn't more just athletically gifted than everybody else. I mean, he was gifted. I'm not saying he wasn't,
Mhm.
but he worked harder and had the right mindset, and that's why he was able to go so far. And I think a lot of that has to do with him being able to fuel that bad and generate it into good. And when he hit good, he wasn't content. I mean, I'm sure you know the famous clip. Most people know the famous clip. What's there to be happy about? Job's
That's
not
it. Yeah.
finished. Job's not finished. He was up 3-1 in the NBA Finals or something like that, 3-2
Yeah.
maybe. But he's one win away from having his name cemented into history. And his first thing to say is, what's there to be happy about? Like that, if that doesn't tell you a lot about a person, I don't know what does. But I'm sure like he's hiding it a little bit, but you have to, like, he was feeling good, but he didn't let that good turn into like a state of euphoria to where he just became content with what he'd done so far. He
Mhm.
knew he had to go out and get another one. And I mean, he did it. But I think a lot of the good, bad, and ugly could be viewed through his viewpoint just because he didn't let, and I mean, I'm sure you're the same way. I'm sure I'm a little bit the same way. I don't know if we're as extreme as he is, but we're going to take those bad experiences. We're going to go back and look at it. see what we could have done better and fuel that to do good.
Mhm.
And I think a lot, like every, not just athletes, but people can take from that. Like if you fail a test, are you going to, I mean, you could sulk on it and just be bad the rest of the semester, not study again and fail. It's an option, I guess, but or you can kind of turn around, understand you need to do a little more work and do better, and then that turns into the good. So I think a lot of it just has to do with sort of where your head's at and understanding that those highs and lows, they don't, that's not a forever feeling. Like it's just not. And like we said, that mountain range, it's going to go up and down, whether you like it or not. If you got on your good shoes or your bad shoes, there's going to be points where you slip, and there's going to be points where somehow you were able to sprint up the mountain. Like it just goes that way sometimes. And if you can give an example, like we're gonna wrap up in a second here, but if you can give an example of, I know we already touched on the low, but if you can give an example of, I want you to dive in a little bit more about when you guys lost that week 5 game after the undefeated season, and just go a little more in depth about how you were able to get it going back on the right track. Just because I know you said you guys were able to turn around, you won it,
Mhm.
but just like maybe just what your mindset was and sort of what allowed you to go back out and play good football and turn it around and pick back up on that tradition.
Yeah, so I think the way we played on the field that day, on that Saturday, wasn't the best we could have played. And I think everybody on the team knew that.
Mhm.
I think there was a lot of plays that were left out there. There were a lot of missed opportunities, missed assignments, and it was all a lot about just focus, refocusing for the next week, preparing in a better way, making sure that we're executing what the coaches preach, what we're working on throughout the week, and understanding that that wasn't us and we know our identity and that's really important in the season, making sure that you guys are going back to your common goals, team goals, and understanding that you guys know your identity and know what you guys want to accomplish. So that was something that was big for us, and that was something that our coach preached to us. And I think throughout the rest of the season, we were able to stick to that. We were able to understand that, okay, we can't control that. That's in the past. But what can we control? The rest of the couple games that we had. And there were some seniors that had been there for a while. There were some fifth year seniors too that, had put a lot of time in and worked a lot, had been in this school for a while. Had been through the COVID seasons and it meant a lot to them. And I think the younger guys and a lot of guys who had to step up and were in that role with them understood what it meant to them and understood what the tradition meant to the school and um,
The
you
expectation, right?
expectation. Yeah. So that was just something that just allowed us to go forward, and we ended up winning the rest of the games, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I really like what you said about sort of being able to look to the seniors because kind of full circle moment. I want to look back to last week. It's take the help you get. When you have the good, bad, and ugly. I know we talked about it last week, but there's a reason that you have your circle.
Mhm.
That is for the good, bad, and ugly. Celebrate with them, struggle with them, and if they're there for you, make sure you're there for them as well. Um, I don't want anyone to think that like you can take all the help in the world and not give it
Mhm.
because and that's traditionally where the best help is going to come from if someone knows that you'll be there for them as well.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it kind of sucks. And it's like it depends how you look at it
Mhm.
because it might feel conditional, but I mean, really, it's not. But it's just like that's just human nature. If you scratch my back, I scratch yours type thing. So sort of just remembering to be there for people as well. It's weird when I go through hard times. I think the thing that helps me best is helping other people. Just because, like, I don't know, maybe it's a distraction, maybe it's like just a way to feel good about yourself. I don't like I can't tell you exactly one thing. I think it's probably a cumulative of those things and probably others. But definitely in that good, bad, and ugly, take the help and embrace the people around you because they were there for you when you were low. So when you're high, make sure that they get to experience that as well. They shouldn't only have to pick you up and then not get to be there when there's other people lifting you.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. But
I like that.
yeah,
And I think we had some great conversations this episode. We covered a whole bunch of good topics, and I'm excited for you guys to hear this. I do have one more sentence to kind of wrap it up. I wrote this a little bit earlier
let's do
um,
it.
about the highs and lows. So um, I said, no matter where you are, riding the highs or pushing through the lows, remember that your worth isn't defined by your performance, but by your resilience, your mindset, and people you surround yourself with. Stay grounded, stay faithful, and keep showing up because you're built to last. And that's what this.
100%. Man.
That's what we had. That's a wrap.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah.
Get this posted and talk to you guys next week.
Yes, sir.